You've probably heard the saying, "You're what you eat." But what if I told you that something as innocent as your favorite daily snack could be quietly draining the very strength you need to walk, think, and stay independent? Every day, millions of older adults pop a handful of mixed nuts, believing they're making a hard, smart choice. But hidden inside the trail mix could be the beginning of a slow, invisible decline, one that weakens your legs, dulls your mind, and chips away at your freedom. In today's video, we're not just talking about nutrition. We're uncovering a silent epidemic that's hiding in plain sight. I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to empower you. Because the truth is, some nuts can accelerate aging, while others can help you thrive past 90 with clarity, strength, and joy. So stay with me until the very end. This may be one of the most important conversations you'll ever have about your health after 60. And if this hits close to home, if you've ever felt your legs growing weaker, your energy fading, or your balance slipping, you're not alone. And it might not be aging, it might just be the wrong nut. At Daily Elder Advice, we believe growing older isn't a decline, it's a new season of power, wisdom, and deeper connection. But to enjoy that season, you need strength in your body, sharpness in your mind, and freedom in your movement. That's why we're diving into something deceptively simple today: nuts. You see, not all nuts are created equal. Some nourish your body like medicine. Others act like slow toxins, sabotaging your bones, messing with your medication, inflaming your joints, and even affecting your brain. After 60, your body no longer processes food the same way it did at 30. What used to be harmless could now be harmful. That's especially true when it comes to 3 nuts many of us eat regularly, thinking they're healthy when in fact, they may be quietly undermining your health. But here's the good news. There are also 3 nuts that can become your best allies in aging well. I'll walk you through each one, the good, the bad, and the life-changing. And I'll also share some real stories of people who turned their health around just by changing what was in their snack bowl. Let's begin with the first one, and perhaps the most deceptive of all. Chapter 1: Peanuts, the Silent Destroyer. Peanuts are a staple in many senior diets found in snack mixes, peanut butter sandwiches, and healthy protein bars. But despite their popularity, peanuts carry risks that most older adults aren't warned about, risks that intensify as the body ages. First, it's important to understand that peanuts are not technically nuts, they're legumes. Unlike tree nuts that grow above ground, peanuts develop underground, where they're more susceptible to mold contamination. And with mold comes aflatoxins, toxic compounds that can cause cellular damage, liver stress, and even increase cancer risk. In younger bodies, the liver can typically detoxify small amounts of aflatoxins without consequence. But after 60, the liver slows down. This means even mild exposures can result in greater accumulation, leading to what I call invisible poisoning, damage you don't feel until it's already taken root. But aflatoxins are just the start. Peanuts are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, which aren't bad in moderation but become problematic when consumed in excess. Most seniors already have an imbalance between omega-3 and omega-6 due to modern diets. This imbalance fuels systemic inflammation, the underlying cause of many age-related conditions, joint pain, heart disease, even memory loss. Let's add one more layer. Peanuts contain vitamin K, which is normally beneficial but dangerous for anyone on blood-thinning medications like warfarin. It can reduce the effectiveness of those drugs, raising the risk of uncontrolled bleeding or dangerous clots. And what about peanut butter? While it may seem like a wholesome snack, most commercial peanut butters are full of hydrogenated oils, trans fats, sugars, and sodium. Each spoonful can slowly raise blood pressure, clog arteries, and impair brain circulation. What makes peanuts so dangerous for seniors isn't one single element, it's the cumulative damage. Liver, joints, heart, brain, balance, all affected quietly over time. You don't feel it after one serving, but after a year, 5 years, 10, your legs are weaker, your energy is low, and you chalk it up to normal aging. But what if it's not? Real-life story: Martha's hidden decline. Martha Thompson was 72 and proud of staying young at heart. She gardened, played bridge with her friends, and walked her dog every morning. One habit she cherished: a peanut butter toast with banana every day for breakfast, something she picked up from her husband years ago. But over time, Martha began noticing odd changes. Her knees ached after just a short walk. She started having trouble sleeping. Her blood pressure crept up, and her doctor adjusted her meds, but nothing seemed to help. Eventually, her daughter, a nutritionist, asked her to write down everything she ate in a week. "Peanut butter every day?" she asked. Martha nodded proudly. "It keeps me strong." But when they switched it out for almond butter and added more anti-inflammatory foods, things started to shift. Within a few weeks, Martha's joint pain began easing. Her energy returned. Even her brain fog lifted. "I never thought my favorite comfort food could be hurting me," she said. "I thought it was helping." Martha's story is a gentle reminder. The things we've done for decades may not serve us anymore after 60. What struck me most about Martha's story wasn't the physical symptoms, it was the trust. She trusted what she knew, and that trust, over time, became a trap. And this isn't rare. As a researcher and advisor to hundreds of older adults, I've seen it time and again. We carry food habits from our 30s into our 70s without question. But the rules change, the body changes, and to stay strong, we must evolve too. Peanuts aren't evil, but they are risky, especially if you're already managing blood pressure, joint pain, or cognitive health, and that means they demand a closer look, not blind loyalty. Aging well isn't just about doing more, it's about doing better, being wiser, and part of that wisdom is learning to question even the most familiar habits. If peanuts are a regular part of your diet, I encourage you to pause and reflect. Have you noticed more inflammation, slower recovery, foggy thinking? It might not be just aging. It might be your snack. Remember, there's nothing casual about what we eat after 60. Every bite is either building our health or quietly breaking it down. So be kind to yourself, stay curious, and keep watching, because next, we're going to talk about another beloved nut that may be stealing calcium from your bones and quietly setting you up for a painful fall. If you found Chapter 1 helpful, please comment the number 1 below. We read every comment, and if Chapter 1 spoke to you, whether it reminded you of someone you love or revealed something you hadn't considered, type 1 and let us know. We'll make sure to send more stories, science, and strategies that support your health in the areas that matter most to you. Chapter 2. Cashews, the calcium thief. Cashews are often viewed as the fancy nut, smooth, buttery, and satisfying. They're frequently added to health food mixes, vegan recipes, and even senior meal plans. On the surface, they seem harmless, even beneficial. But hidden beneath their creamy allure lies a subtle but serious danger for those of us over 60. The first red flag: oxalates. Cashews are high in these natural compounds, which bind to calcium in your digestive system. When this happens, calcium becomes unavailable to your bones and instead passes right out of your body. Over time, this creates a silent calcium drain, depriving your skeletal system of one of its most essential building blocks. Why is this important? After 60, bone loss accelerates dramatically, especially in women post-menopause and men with declining testosterone levels. Every year, seniors lose bone density, increasing the risk of fractures, spinal compression, and life-altering falls. Without enough available calcium, even the best exercise or vitamin regimen may fall short. It's like trying to build a wall without bricks. But the impact of oxalates doesn't stop with bones. They also contribute to kidney stone formation, a painful, often recurring condition that becomes more common with age, especially in people who are chronically dehydrated or have reduced kidney function. Cashews, when eaten regularly, add to that load. Worse still, cashews are surprisingly high in carbohydrates for a nut. For seniors managing blood sugar, this matters. A handful of cashews can cause sudden glucose spikes, which over time damage small blood vessels in the legs, feet, and eyes. The result: nerve pain, muscle weakness, vision loss, and wounds that refuse to heal, all of which chip away at your mobility and independence. Even their shape can be risky. Cashews, with their smooth, slippery curve, are among the top choking hazards for older adults with dry mouth, weak chewing muscles, or swallowing difficulty. It may seem trivial until it's not. And finally, while they taste rich, cashews lack many of the nutrients other nuts offer in abundance, such as omega-3s, complete proteins, and brain-protecting antioxidants. So not only do they pose hidden risks, they offer little compensation in return. In short, cashews may be delicious, but for the aging body, they're a silent saboteur, stealing calcium, stressing kidneys, spiking sugar, and adding risk without reward. Real-life story: James and the fractured fall. James was 78, a retired architect who took pride in staying active. He lived alone, maintained his garden, and even painted on weekends. He considered himself strong for his age. Every morning, James made a fruit bowl sprinkled with chopped cashews and granola. He did it for years, never questioning it. "It's natural, right?" he would say. But one winter morning, James slipped on the front step. Not a major fall, just a small misstep, but his hip shattered. The doctors were stunned at how brittle his bones were. "You got severe osteoporosis," they told him. During rehab, a dietitian looked through his eating habits and noticed the heavy cashew intake, combined with low calcium absorption and mild kidney issues. It had quietly eroded the foundation of his strength. James recovered, but it took 7 months. He now uses a cane. His independence changed, all because of a nut he never suspected. I've spoken to dozens of people like James. Their stories aren't dramatic at first until they are. A simple nut, a simple fall, a changed life. It's a strange irony. We reach for cashews thinking we're being good to ourselves. But sometimes, the things that feel healthy aren't right for our stage of life. That's the lesson I try to remind people. Aging is a different game. It's not about what worked for you at 40. It's about what protects you now: your bones, your balance, your blood vessels, and your kidneys. Those are non-negotiables. Cashews aren't evil, but they're not built for the aging body. It's time to rethink the little things. Because at this age, the little things are everything. That handful of cashews, it may feel small, but if it's quietly draining your calcium, stressing your kidneys, and messing with your blood sugar, it's not small at all. You have the power to swap out what doesn't serve you. You don't need to sacrifice flavor or comfort. There are safer, smarter alternatives that nourish you, not steal from you. If you've experienced kidney stones, joint weakness, or bone density loss, this might be a wake-up call. Aging strong means being honest. Not afraid, not extreme, just honest. If you found Chapter 2 helpful, please comment the number 2 below. Every comment helps us understand what matters to you most. When you type 2, we'll know that calcium, bone strength, and preventing silent risk factors like cashews are important to you, and we'll share more content that supports your journey toward lifelong mobility and freedom. Chapter 3. Pine nuts, the brain and leg disruptor. They're tiny, elegant, often sprinkled on salads or blended into pesto. Pine nuts feel refined, like a gourmet touch in an otherwise simple meal. But behind their posh appearance lies a set of risks that can uniquely affect older adults, especially those managing medications. Memory loss or movement issues. Let's start with one of the most overlooked dangers: drug interactions. Pine nuts contain compounds that may interfere with the metabolism of over 60 common medications, including blood pressure medications, cholesterol-lowering statins, antidepressants, blood thinners. For seniors already juggling multiple prescriptions, this becomes a delicate game of balance. A handful of pine nuts could increase or decrease drug efficacy, leading to unstable blood pressure, dangerous arrhythmias, or mood swings. And sadly, many doctors never warn patients simply because pine nuts aren't seen as a serious food risk. But they should be. Next, consider a bizarre condition called pine mouth syndrome. It's a real, documented phenomenon. For days, even weeks after eating pine nuts, people report that everything they eat tastes bitter, metallic, and unpleasant. Imagine waking up, taking a bite of your breakfast, and feeling like you're chewing on a spoon. Now think about what that is to someone over 70. Many seniors already struggle with reduced appetite or altered taste perception due to age, medications, or illness. Adding pine mouth can further suppress food intake, leading to malnutrition, muscle wasting, and weakness. But perhaps the most hidden danger of all is oxidation. Pine nuts are high in polyunsaturated fats, which sounds healthy, but they oxidize quickly when exposed to air, light, or heat. Once oxidized, these fats release harmful compounds into the body that trigger inflammation, stiffen blood vessels, damage brain cells, and accelerate joint degeneration. This means if you've had a bag of pine nuts sitting in your pantry for a few weeks, They may already be doing damage before you even eat them. For the aging brain, oxidative stress is one of the leading drivers of Alzheimer's disease, brain fog, and memory loss. Even something as basic as choking risk becomes relevant here. Pine nuts are tiny and slippery, making them especially dangerous for seniors who struggle with dry mouth or reduced saliva. Choking on these small nuts is more common than you'd think, especially when they're added to dry foods or consumed quickly without much chewing. It's hard to imagine that such a small, elegant food could carry such risks. But in older adults, it's not about size, it's about vulnerability. And pine nuts hit too many of the wrong buttons at once. Real-life story: Eleanor's fading taste. Eleanor, 80, was a proud home cook. She lived alone, kept an herb garden, and loved experimenting with Mediterranean recipes. One of her favorites was homemade pesto with pine nuts. But over the course of several weeks, Eleanor started noticing something strange. Her coffee tasted metallic. Her soup had a bitter aftertaste. She thought maybe she was getting sick or worse. Losing her mind, I thought it was early dementia. She later said, I panicked. Her doctor couldn't find anything unusual. It wasn't until her granddaughter visited and asked about her recipes that the truth came out. Nana, maybe it's the pine nuts, she said. Sure enough, Eleanor had a batch of pine nuts that were all partially oxidized. After removing them, her sense of taste slowly returned. But in the meantime, Eleanor had eaten less and lost 6 pounds. Her legs felt weak. Her doctor warned her that even mild malnutrition could trigger sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. The pine nuts didn't destroy her health, but they chipped away at it, quietly, invisibly, just like they do for millions of seniors who never even suspect them. I often say, aging isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Eleanor's story stayed with me because it reflected something I see so often. People blaming themselves for what they don't know. She thought she was slipping into cognitive decline. In reality, it was a snack. When I advise older adults, I always remind them, not everything strange happening in your body is just old age. Sometimes, it's your food. Sometimes, it's one ingredient. Pine nuts are small, but the risks, drug interaction, oxidation, appetite disruption, are large. If you've never questioned them, now is the time. Not all risks are loud. Some are polite, quiet, decorated in gourmet packaging. Pine nuts may be elegant, but they can interfere with your life-saving medications, distort your sense of taste and reduce your appetite, trigger inflammation in your joints and brain, add choking risk during meals, and accelerate the loss of mobility and mental clarity. You don't need to fear pine nuts, but you do need to respect their impact, especially if you are over 60 and already managing other health issues. There are safer, more nourishing options ahead, but awareness must come first. If you found Chapter 3 helpful, please comment the number 3 below. We truly want to understand which parts of this video are helping you most. Commenting 3 lets us know that food-drug interactions, cognitive clarity, and hidden appetite risks matter to you. Chapter 4, Almonds, the bone and muscle defender. Let's shift gears from warning signs to healing tools. After exploring the nuts that silently harm your health, it's time to meet one that could rebuild the foundation of your strength: almonds. Almonds are more than just a healthy snack, they're one of nature's most complete protectors for the aging body. Packed into each crunchy bite is a cocktail of nutrients that directly target the 4 pillars of senior wellness: bone density, muscle strength, heart health, and cognitive clarity. Let's begin with your bones, the scaffolding of your independence. After the age of 60, we begin to lose bone mass faster than we can rebuild it. This makes every fall more dangerous, every stumble more serious. And yet, in each handful of almonds, you'll find calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, 3 minerals that work together to strengthen bones, maintain skeletal integrity, and reduce the risk of osteoporosis. Magnesium, in particular, is a quiet hero. Without it, calcium can't be properly absorbed or utilized by the body. Many seniors take calcium supplements, but without magnesium, it can end up in the arteries, not in the bones. Almonds help correct this imbalance naturally, without the need for synthetic pills. Now let's talk about muscle, the unsung hero of healthy aging. Loss of muscle mass, sarcopenia, is one of the top predictors of falls, fractures, and frailty. Yet almonds are rich in plant-based protein and healthy fats, two essential components that support muscle repair and preserve lean mass. What's more, almonds help regulate blood sugar, stabilize energy levels, and reduce inflammation, all of which make it easier for seniors to move, walk, and stay active without crashing in the afternoon or waking up stiff and sluggish. But the benefits don't stop at your bones and muscles. Almonds are deeply protective of your heart and brain, two systems that age together. They're loaded with monounsaturated fats, the same kind found in olive oil, known to lower LDL cholesterol, improve circulation, and reduce arterial plaque. Better blood flow means more oxygen to your brain, your limbs, and your heart, which translates to sharper thinking, stronger legs, and longer stamina. And within the almond's brown skin lies a treasure trove of antioxidants, compounds that fight oxidative stress, protect neurons, and slow age-related mental decline. In fact, regular almond intake has been linked to better memory, mood stability, and lower risk of dementia in multiple studies. Almonds even support gut health thanks to their fiber content, reducing constipation, improving digestion, and ensuring nutrients are absorbed more efficiently. A happy gut is often a happy brain, especially in later life. In every sense, almonds are the opposite of a gamble. They're a daily investment in long-term strength, balance, and clarity. When I think of almonds, I don't just think of nutrients, I think of resilience. The kind that comes not from doing something radical, but from doing something sustainably smart. I've seen people try fad diets, extreme detoxes, expensive powders only to burn out. But I've also seen what happens when someone simply adds a handful of almonds every day. Over time, their energy lifts, their balance improves, their mornings feel easier. That's the power of small, powerful choices made consistently. Aging doesn't have to mean shrinking. It can mean growing in a new direction with better support, smarter fuel, and a stronger foundation. There's a quiet power in almonds. They don't shout, they don't trend on social media, but they do. Strengthen your bones, preserve your muscle mass, lower bad cholesterol, protect your memory, calm your digestion, support your daily energy. Every almond is a reminder that aging well isn't about extremes, it's about choosing the things that work with your body, not against it. So next time you reach into the cupboard for a snack, ask yourself, is this feeding my future or weakening it? If you found Chapter 4 helpful, please comment the number 4 below. We want to know which of these insights you'd like us to dive deeper into. If bone strength, muscle health, Chapter 5. Walnuts, the mind and movement preserver. Walnuts are one of the few foods that seem designed for the brain. Their shape resembles the human brain and their nutrients support it deeply. They're rich in ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that helps keep brain cells flexible and functional. Walnuts also contain polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that reduce inflammation in brain tissue, lowering the risk of memory decline, dementia, and confusion. Beyond the mind, walnuts improve circulation through the amino acid arginine, ensuring muscles and joints get the oxygen they need. Even sleep improves, thanks to natural melatonin. It's a whole body booster, especially for seniors wanting to stay sharp, balanced, and steady on their feet. Real-life story: Frank's forgotten words. Frank, 79, was once a sharp-witted retired journalist. He never missed a name, a date, or a quote. But in the last year, things started slipping. He forgot his neighbor's name. He repeated stories. His hands trembled more when holding the newspaper. At first, he thought it was just age. But after seeing a neurologist, he was told it might be cognitive inflammation, not full dementia. But early signs of brain stress. The doctor suggested daily walnuts, exercise, and better sleep. Skeptical but willing, Frank added a handful of walnuts every morning to his routine. 2 months in, he wrote a full letter to his grandson without stumbling once. "I don't know if it's the walnuts," he smiled, "but my thoughts feel cleaner now." We often talk about losing memory like it's inevitable, like it's some fog that just rolls in one day. But in truth, our brain is alive, and like a muscle, it can be nourished or neglected. Walnuts aren't magic, but they're a strong ally. In my years working with older adults, I've seen small dietary changes like adding walnuts help people reclaim focus, steadiness, even joy. There's power in what we put on our plate, especially when we do it with care. You don't have to forget who you are just because you've added more candles to your birthday cake. Your mind is still your home, and walnuts help keep the lights on inside. They nourish the spaces where your memories live, your emotions flow, and your sense of self stays grounded. This isn't about reversing age. It's about preserving dignity. Staying mentally clear isn't vanity, it's your connection to loved ones, to your passions, to the stories only you can tell. So if you want to hold on to what matters most, your mind, your memories, your movement, let something as simple as a walnut help you do it. If you found Chapter 5 helpful, please comment the number 5 below. Are mental clarity, balance, or better sleep part of your goals? If so, type 5, and we'll send you more empowering tools to help your brain and body stay strong, focused, and steady in the years ahead. Chapter 6. Pistachios, the heartbeat of mobility. Pistachios are more than just colorful and crunchy, they're a powerhouse for the aging heart, eyes, and circulation. Rich in potassium, pistachios help regulate blood pressure by balancing sodium levels in the body, which is crucial for seniors with hypertension or stiff arteries. They also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, antioxidants that protect vision by strengthening the macula, reducing the risk of age-related macular degeneration. What makes pistachios special is their ability to support mobility and fine motor function. The act of shelling them encourages hand-eye coordination, while their fiber, protein, and healthy fats fuel steady energy and joint flexibility. They're not just a snack, they're movement, memory, and vitality in a shell. Real-life story: Clara's walk around the lake. Clara, 76, had always loved her morning walks around the nearby lake, but in recent years, her steps had slowed. Her doctor noted rising blood pressure, early signs of macular degeneration, and fatigue by midday. She was reluctant to take more medication. Instead, with her nutritionist's help, she overhauled her snacks, replacing processed crackers with unsalted pistachios. At first, it seemed too simple to matter, but 2 months later, Clara noticed her vision was less blurry in the mornings. Her energy lasted longer. She could walk the lake again, no rests needed. The shells used to annoy me, she laughed. Now they're my favorite part. They slow me down, but in the right way. Clara's story always makes me smile, not just because of her improved health, but because of her renewed joy. That's what health should feel like after 60, not a punishment, but a quiet return to things you love. I believe pistachios teach us something important, that healing doesn't have to be hard. It can be beautiful, simple, even a little playful. When you choose food that serves your body with love, your body finds ways to thank you. A vibrant life after 60 isn't about running marathons, it's about having the strength to do what makes your heart beat with joy. Whether it's dancing in your kitchen, walking around your favorite park, or reading clearly under the afternoon sun, your freedom depends on how well you care for your circulation, your vision, your energy. Pistachios are a humble gift from nature that say, "Here, keep going." They lower your blood pressure, sharpen your sight, and nourish your momentum. So crack open each one with intention. Not just as a snack, but as a small, joyful promise. I'm still moving, I'm still seeing, I'm still here, and I'm not done yet. If you found Chapter 6 helpful, please comment the number 6 below. You've made it to the end, and that already says something powerful about you. It means you care about your health, your independence, your future. It means you're not just surviving this chapter of life, you're determined to thrive in it. Let's be honest, aging isn't always easy. The body shifts, the energy dips, the world sometimes feels like it's rushing ahead without us. But here's the truth no one tells you. You are never powerless. Not at 60, not at 70, not at 90. Every choice, every bite, every step, every thought is a vote for the life you still want to live. And something as small as choosing almonds over peanuts, walnuts over pine nuts, can ripple outward into something far greater. Stronger bones, sharper thinking, steadier steps, deeper joy. These are not luxuries, they're your birthright, and you don't need to be perfect to claim them. You just need to be willing to make the next right choice. Here at Daily Elder Advice, we believe that age is not the end of your story. It's the chapter where you finally write it on your terms, and we're here every step of the way to walk with you.